Yes, good evening. Our last topic in public procurement is emerging issues and trends. A very interesting topic. An emerging issue is something that is coming up or it has just recently come up. Any issue that has come up or is almost coming up that is likely to affect public procurement either positively or negatively. So emerging issues don't have to be positive, they don't have to be negative. They can be positive, they can be negative. But the way you identify an emerging issue is because that emerging issue is something that is currently in place. In fact, in normal circumstances, we call them current issues. If you say a current issue, then you cannot start saying an issue that happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago. They are no longer current issues. Sometimes we call them breaking news, breaking issues. It means there's something that are just happening or they have just happened or will likely to happen. So in public procurement, it's also important for you to identify emerging issues. And apart from the emerging issues, we have emerging trend. A trend is something that is continuous. We are looking at what happened last year to be able to connect to what is likely to happen this year in connection to what happened last year. So it means an emerging issue and an emerging trend, you should be able to identify them in public procurement. The problem is now, if you are not updated with what is happening in public procurement, you may not be able to know the current issues. It's like someone asking you of the current affairs. What is the latest thing that is happening in public procurement? The way we normally see or understand latest things that happen in the society, that's the same way we look at this particular area. So emerging issues are many. And if you're updated with what is happening in public procurement, you can be able to notice this is an emerging issue, this is not an emerging issue. Like if you talk about the public procurement regulation, that one is not an emerging issue because it has been there for so many years. But if something changes in that regulation, like for now, we are supposed to go to the regulation of, we have been using the regulation of 2015. Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. So it means in 2025, that particular act has to change. It cannot remain the same. So what will change in that particular act? It is what is happening right now. Because they will not just sit and just decide to change it. There have to be problems with it that will make someone sit down and say, we have to add something, we have to change something in this PPDA Act of 2015. So that should be next year. So that should be an emerging issue. We are waiting for the latest PPDA Act, which is of 2025, because the Act changes after every 10 years. So it changed the last time 2015. Of course, there is an updated version of 2020, but the version will totally change in 2025. So we'll be talking about the PPDA Act 2025 from the one which is currently there, 2020. Because in 10 years is just too much time for you to use an act. Because in 10 years, so many things will have changed. So it means by 2020, they saw the need to try and change some aspects of the act, but officially it will also change in 2025. So these things that will make that act to change is what we are calling now emerging issues. An issue that makes the act to be able to be amended from the 2020 version to the 2025 version. So there are so many other emerging issues in public procurement, like IT, investing in IT solution. If you look at the Public Procurement Act, IT part is talking about the IFMIS or the ERP system. In public procurement, we use a system called Integrated Financial Management Information System. That is a very important ERP system in public procurement. So you look at how that system works, how it has been working, what are the challenges that this system has been getting. Most of these county governments, if you go physically to them, it is a system that has been used for a long period of time. But is this system effective? Those are questions you're asking yourself, because if it is effective, then well and good. But if there are challenges that need to be amended so that that system can work better, then it becomes an emerging issue. Things like cloud computing, we're still under IT, cloud computing, saving information on the cloud or cloud-based platform. We know currently public procurement saves information for 6 years. And how is this information saved? It is basically the manual saving of information. So with the IFMIS or other ERP system, we have to find a way of saving information that will be electronic in nature and not manual. Those are emerging issues. Apart from IT, still on IT, we have things like artificial intelligence. We shall see in future how AI can be able to be incorporated in public procurement, because already it is happening in private sector. So it should not be a big deal for AI to be introduced in public procurement. So it makes it an emerging issue. It's not incorporated in public procurement, but it is a possible area where people can consider incorporating AI in public procurement in the future. Mobile devices and mobile-friendly services. So all those are part of IT. So if you think about any IT area and then you can feel this is an area which will be very good if it is incorporated in public procurement, then that is an emerging issue. Public participation and effective communication. As of now, there is public participation, but it's not so clear. You'll walk in some companies or some public entities or some counties and you find there is totally no public participation in procurement. So it has just been left for the books. Yes, we are doing public participation. There is also a method called public participation method of procurement, but naturally it's not even being used. It's not naturally being used. So how can we be able to reduce the challenges of such methods so that we can be able to do what? To incorporate them in public procurement, so that they are not just in the Public Procurement Act, they are practically being used. That method of procurement is called community participation. So it's just the same as public participation. But if you go to communities, it is not even being implemented. Why? Because there are basic challenges that come with that particular method. Maybe the community does not have enough resources, they don't have enough machines, they don't have enough human resource, so they just feel this particular method may not work very well when it comes to implementing it as a procurement method. Another area is sustainable procurement. Yes, we have to sustain our procurement. Is public procurement sustainable? We usually talk about sustainability of public procurement, but in practice, is it sustainable? Remember, we looked at the 3 pillars of sustainability: economic, social, and environmental. But is it practical? What can be done so that this procurement or public procurement can become sustainable? Harmonizing of public service delivery, that's another emerging issue. Outsourcing of some factors in public procurement to give them to experts. This is usually reserved so much in public procurement because according to the principles, there is limitations in using these outsourcing companies. Another emerging issue is changing roles of procurement professionals. What are their changing roles? How are they changing from how they used to operate to how they are operating right now? strategic sourcing and supplier management, global sourcing. So there are so many other, just-in-time purchasing. There are so many other emerging issues, which if we procurement, we can be able to incorporate them in public procurement. We shall have very few challenges in public procurement. But because public procurement is a government-related issue, then it means all the decisions are usually made from a central point. It means people have to wait for the Public Procurement Act to be amended before any changes can be implemented. So emerging issues could be so many in public procurement, but now it will take a long period of time for them to be implemented because of bureaucracy issues. You cannot just wake up and decide, I'm implementing this. It has to come from the regulations, from the laws, and once the laws and regulations change, that is when you can be able to change. So those are the challenges we get with emerging issues. So we have to know how to cope with the emerging issues to make sure that they work. They are practically working. So if you can identify emerging issues, if you can know how to cope with them, then you will succeed in public procurement.